Today, we're exploring a theme that feels both deeply personal and profoundly healing. What happens when our inner world begins to take shape in the outer world? For many of us, healing starts with insight. We learn new language, understand our stories, and begin to make sense of what we lived through. But at some point, healing asks for something more. It asks us to embody it, to create, to plant something, to cook something, or to make something beautiful, to participate with God with our own lives rather than merely understand them. My guest today has been reflecting deeply on what it means to live from abundance rather than scarcity, and how creativity can become a doorway into healing, connection, and presence. I'm so glad she's here. So welcome, Lindsay.
Hello. So happy to be here with you. I love a good talk
Yeah,
with Patria.
yes. And we have to mention that we're twinning today, and we didn't even mean to. This is
Yes.
because we are kindred spirits, I think. That's what I
hmm
think.
Yes, I'll take it.
Yeah, me too. Lindsay, you've recently really been exploring a lot about abundance and scarcity and this idea of living that out. What does creativity and abundance mean to you? What does it mean to you in this season of your life?
Yeah, I think previous to this season of my life, I didn't realize that those words are so full of life itself. You can't really have creativity, creating new things without life. And I mean, abundance is just life to the fullest. And I mean, I probably knew that about the words, but
Sure.
they feel so different to me now, like kind of seeing their actual tentacles, like in my healing, in my day, how much I actually need abundance
Mm.
and creativity. Those felt like frivolous things, probably in life past.
Oh,
And now they
so
feel like
scarcity
needs.
and frivolous kind of go together.
Yeah, probably.
What do you mean when you say full of life? What does that mean?
Well, I think we could go in a circle with abundance and full of life, right? It's how I was describing abundance. But I also, what comes to mind is arousal, like everything awake, fullness, like I'm all here. I don't know what might happen. Like there's hope and opportunity. Those things feel like full of life.
Wow.
hmm
I mean, that's so pretty. And I don't know why pretty was the word that came out of my mind, but it is. It's pretty. It's beautiful. It's moving. So, what has it been like for you to go in this direction, to move in this direction, or to transform maybe in this direction from that scarcity survival mindset into this abundant, creative life living mindset? What has that been like for you?
Terrifying is the word that's coming to mind, especially the early movements, because survival has such like a lockdown, rigid, black and white, care quality to it, that creativity and freedom and process, you know, uh, opportunity, those did not feel good at the beginning because survival strategies are what felt safe. You know, there wasn't wiggle room in that. So I would say, yeah, 6 years ago, me was not thinking that these words felt helpful and, graceful or even possible. So, but as I made it through those early movements that were terrifying, oh, what has it felt like? Freedom, breathing, you know. I remember something you would have told me many times, and maybe for years I didn't get it, but like, and you could change your mind. And,
You reserve the right to edit.
yes, like possibility. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't have to know, you know, the
Mm-hmm.
freedom in that, has felt really beautiful to learn to live in, but it's not something that
Well,
came easy.
I mean, you're describing necessity. right? I mean, that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah,
And so you can, I hate it when people say right, because it assumes
I know.
an
I
agreement.
say
But so,
it.
so don't, I don't want you to just agree for agreement's sake, for sure. I think you know that about me. But it's like that rigidity, the rules based behavior that you're talking about, the structure, where there wasn't possibility, but there was what?
Predictability.
Predictability. That's it. Yeah. And that predictability, that certainty, that sense of I know what's coming next felt safer.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Anything else you want to say about that move or what's coming to your mind before we move on to another
I'm
question?
just thinking about the madness of mindfulness, being in the moment, embodiment. The tiny, tiny moments of that were like the conduit, and it drove me crazy. I mean, I did not get it, but it felt so unsafe to be still and quiet, when I could be moving and doing something predictable. So my heart feels really caught in that early place of how uncomfortable that stillness was, but that was the little pathway to the freedom, the creativity, the space.
Oh, what would you say right now? And we might hit on this later too, but what would you say to someone who is living in the scarcity out of need for survival, predictability, to keep control of their life, because anything outside of that feels too much, too overwhelming. It takes their arousal out of a window of tolerance, and they become dysregulated, so control is very tight. What would you say to that person that's just considering or contemplating this idea of maybe there's more for me?
Yeah. Well, I think if they're even thinking about it, they probably really hunger for it, which
Mm,
is maddening because you don't know how to get it, at least if you're anything like me. And
yeah.
so acknowledgement of the need for the structure and the need for the predictability, that
Mm,
was the first place to bring kindness. Like, this is happening for a reason. It worked for a reason. And then, so I would say, as hard as it is, that the first place is just to where you're at, bring kindness to why you have to be there. And then have someone in your life, maybe, who has journeyed a bit farther and could just be with you. I think that feels really important.
yeah, that's so wise. I mean, it really is. It is the support in bearing the intolerable.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
for you, you mentioned stillness. For me, very much the stopping. It initially felt like, I would say it feels like dying. There's a feeling of this is like not well, and so to have supports in that, whether that's a good friend or a coach or a counselor or a pastor or wherever that support can come, and that can even change over seasons too. But we're not meant for crumbs. That's one that I don't know why that phrase
Mm-hmm.
keeps popping up in my mind, is that I just want to add that your business, your coaching business, is called How Much More, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. Because there's something about that imagery of how, we're made for a feast. That's what I
Yeah.
keep thinking, is we're made for that. We're living on this, and there's a big gap between this and
Yes.
that, and we need help. We need support. We need somebody that's with us and for us
Yeah.
in that movement. As we close today's conversation, I keep returning to something Lindsay said. She described moving from survival into abundance as terrifying. I think that's such an important word because so often we imagine healing should feel peaceful from the very beginning. But to be honest, nervous systems that learned safety through predictability, control, and over functioning, for those types of nervous systems, freedom can actually feel frightening before it feels beautiful. The invitation isn't to force ourselves into abundance. It's simply to become curious about the possibility that there may be more life available than survival alone. In our next conversation, Lindsay shares how that possibility began taking physical shape in her own life through sourdough bread, tending plants, through dirt, beauty, and creation itself. She began discovering that sometimes our hands understand healing long before our minds do. I can't wait to share that conversation with you. Until next time, be gentle with yourself. Healing rarely begins with a giant leap. More often, it begins with one small breath toward hope.